Hello, my name is Hashmat Mashiana. I will be looking at whether parents influence high school GPA through this research study. So, there has been an ongoing emphasis on utilizing standards and assessments to dictate academic readiness. The purpose of this study is to explore some of the different variables that influence student GPA. This study seeks to focus its research question on whether married parents who are actively involved in their child's life influence their GPA. The goal is to analyze the demographics of high school graduates and determine whether there is an influence through their parents' involvement. Academic success is typically measured by graduation rates. Although high school GPA is achieved by measuring educational achievement, they also include other personal factors such as effort, attendance, motivation, and family life. There are a few student measures that are considered, and generally, because they have not been found to recognize accurate measures to showcase who are and who are not prepared for school, there is still a large portion of area that is yet to be determined on what amounts to accomplishment. In America, there is a conservative view on marriage where people are supposed to wed. Marriage is seen as a long-lasting agreement that is not easily broken. However, at the point when separation does happen, the subsequent actions affect the whole family. Youngsters especially may be conflicted between guardians compelled to reside in one house and visit the other. The significance of this issue comes from the impact it might have on kids. They might battle in school because of the pressure that happens once they are encountering a separation. The interest for this study is in tracking down the connection between the two variables, parents and parent-kid relationship, regarding undergrad scholastic accomplishment. However, a large number of these undergrads might have encountered a separation before in youth. It might in any case assume a part in their daily existences. In exploring the subject, the objective will be to answer if a specific level of scholastic shortfalls are pervasive during school. Schools and colleges are spots of scholarly greatness where the people who need parental help issues might battle scholastically. These people might experience difficulty adapting to the enormous measures of pressure and individual flexibilities that accompany school life. To think about parental separation and the connection between the parent and the kid to scholastic achievement, we will study understudies that are coming from groups of separation, as well as those who are coming from families that are still together. With the end goal of this concentrate, we characterize a family in which the guardians are lawfully wedded, whereas guardians who are not. The theme of the study is a highly sought-after topic regarding the high pace of separation in the United States. Ongoing studies have discovered that almost 50% of all relationships end in divorce, which creates almost 1 million kids to encounter divorced parents. As far as the examination goes, it is safe to say that understudies have encountered parental separation to assess their scholarly accomplishment. Considering that information will be gathered on school grounds, understudies who have encountered separation will be promptly accessible. As far as factors, scholastic status can be estimated through GPA, while the connection between the understudy and their folks can be estimated by investigating how they impact and the degree of help that is accessible. Furthermore, this theme is important to many individuals regarding their shared characteristics by separation. A research done in 2003 by Crary announced that separation rates are developing for couples that have been married for over 25 years. These relationships prompting separation might bring a new level of parenting. This theme is an important issue for the individuals who are going to school, and it may further explore their relationship to academics in regards to their relationship at home. So here we will delve a little bit more into the history of grade point average, as well as how the significance has come to be in America. So, in response to the K through 12 public education training reform in the United States, colleges themselves now place a greater emphasis on making college and career ready students. The Common Core standards have implemented throughout the nation expectations that have been deemed critical for post secondary success. This sort of success aims to make sure that each country identifies and uses an assessment machine that promotes fairness and measures pupil development towards this CCR career ready students. Measure of CCR fluctuates throughout the country, but often includes high grade point average, English language arts, SAT, ACT scores, as well as an assessment of the student themselves. So students who meet these requirements are regarded CCR and most likely pursue a post-secondary option, which includes entering the university or the workforce. Your GPA, or grade point average, is a number that shows how well or how high you scored in your seminars on average. It's intended to score you on a scale of 1.0 to 4.0 during your examinations and show whether your general grades have been high or low. This number is then used to survey whether you satisfy the guidelines and assumptions set by the degree, program, or college. Similarly, your teachers and educators give you a grade to assess your advancement or accomplishment in your course. Your GPA is a score used to assess your prosperity during the entirety of your program. College officials ordinarily utilize both secondary school GPA and scores on school entrance exams, like the ACT assessment, to anticipate officially a candidate's likelihood of scholastic achievement in their primary year of school. I have listed here some of the benefits of achieving and attaining a high GPA, as well as some of the barriers that can obstruct from attaining a high GPA. So, students with a high GPA can get more recognition and thus have more opportunities available to them. For example, having a good GPA score can help you be more applicable for more schools, enroll in a graduate or postgraduate program, and it can also allow you to get involved in extracurricular activities and join different clubs and organizations. The major and most important benefit of good grades is a much bigger selection of opportunities, as well as more financial aid programs for students have a set minimum requirement you need to be eligible for before you can apply, and almost all of these programs do require a minimum GPA score. Now, here are just some of the barriers to attaining a high GPA. Numerous studies have examined some common barriers that students face from preventing them from achieving a desirable score. A majority of that literature is focused on high school dropout rates as well as overall low academic performance, which suggests that it's due to a more mismatch between the individual and the environment educational setting. The traditional school design is made in mind with a traditional white middle class value, which is not compatible in today's more diverse and growing society that has a greater variety in ethnic, socioeconomic, family, as well as community background. Educational barriers that increase the risk of low GPA is associated with a range of individual student traits that include both student demographic as well as socioeconomic status. Affordability is also often considered a big predictor for a student's enrollment and academic success in college. Despite this, the cost of higher education does continue to rise. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that the consumer price index for course materials has increased 88% from 2006 to 2016. Here we delve more into the effects of marriage on children's education. For the purposes of this study and research that has been conducted, there is more of an emphasis on looking at divorced families. So, in this study, it has shown that individuals from divorced families are not as likely to go to college in comparison to those whose parents are still together. They also report that in addition to a lower likelihood of attending college, children that have experienced parental divorce will considerably be less likely to complete a 4-year degree. The U.S. Census of 2004 reported that a 1.1 million adolescents have experienced effects relating to divorce. Children raised in families that are considered intact tend to earn higher grades than those who are in separated families. These youths are dependent upon numerous unfavorable impacts from encountering a separation. A few studies and investigations announce that kids of divorce have more trouble than their parents who are from families that are not divorced, including more stress as well as additional issues with guardians and a more negative a negative perspective on marriage, as well as affecting their scholastic standing. Research has been observed that while taking care of their own involvement in a parental separation, kids may likewise stress over the parent adapting to the new change. From this review, subjects who are younger stressed over whether the parent would re-wed, whether the child would get another parent, as well as the on-off chance that the connection between the child and the separated guardian would be impact in a contrary. It is also important to note that studies have shown that the level of people who have encountered parental separation are going to school at a lower rate at around 16 to 20%. So here we have a graph done of students who received mostly A's in school, and this is organized by family structure. As you can see, the highest 28% is the intact married family. After that, it's the intact cohabitating family. The lower sort of end of the scale is the 11% cohabiting step family, and the 9% single parent family. While this does look at the family structure of origin, I just want to say that there can also be sort of multiple other factors that can contribute as to why a student does receive grades. This can be dependent on whether they have maybe extracurriculars, outside jobs, they may have other siblings that they need to take care of. I feel like that would be a lot harder to do if you're in a single parent family. So I just wanted to point out how this can be a bit biased if we don't think about the other factors that can also contribute. So here we have some of the benefits as well as barriers to graduation. I just kind of wanted to include some of the results that can happen as a sort of consequence. Here on the left, we see the benefits, and here we see individuals' ability to earn a living and improve their financial and social well being has been shown to be aided by a higher education. This information came from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics done in 2014. Workers with only a high school graduation earn an average of $45,000 a year, whereas college graduates earn an average of $75,000. Um, Jobs that are requiring a high school diploma or less have decreased by 5.6 million. So we see there are fewer and fewer opportunities that come with either not graduating high school or only graduating high school. We also see that graduates of colleges and universities have a wider variety of opportunities as well as a better set of job opportunities. In December 2019, the unemployment rate for Americans over 25 with a bachelor's degree was 1.9% compared to 2.7 for those with a college or associate's degree, compared to 3.7 for high school grads, and compared to 5.2% for those who have dropped out of high school. And so on the right here, we have some barriers to graduation. And this sort of lists some common individual factors faced by the student. These can include the minority, race, ethnicity, gender, socioeconomic status, which is at SES, immigration status, as well as limited English proficiency, and a disability that includes limited cognitive ability or learning ability. So, students with disabilities are more likely to have multiple risk factors, and those who have been diagnosed with emotional disorders, ED, as well as those with learning disabilities, LD, struggle even more in today's educational climate. This sort of ties back to what we talked about earlier, in that the traditional educational setting is geared to that sort of stereotypical middle class white student, and traditionally that is thought to be somebody with no sort of learning or emotional disorder. Um, so we can see that in today's climate, that is not really the average student. And due to the changing of the environment, we can see that there is a shift in who we discuss when we think of the traditional student. So, in my study, I have included two hypotheses that can be conducted. The first hypothesis, H1, could be that having two parents in the family home is what leads to the best GPA score and thus the most prepared for college. And this, affects those other factors of less stress on the student, more time for them to focus on themselves and their educational career. Using the data gathered from a Flint adolescent study, FAS study, these variables can be measured in SPSS to be tested. Another hypothesis, H2, can be drawn is that those with larger family sizes are more susceptible to fall behind in school due to the potential increased responsibility at home. Again, this can lead to, larger family size, larger amount of siblings, so the kids can be more stressed from the responsibility that can result in having to, babysit, watch over the other, and essentially take on that extra parental role. And so the switching between school life and home life can be disruptful. Um, a study drawn from the Rumberger 2013 study found that those with more adult responsibilities at home struggle to switch between the two different environments, and this can also lead to falling behind, lower GPA scores, and then eventually dropping out. So, in this study, we're going to be focusing more on the Flint adolescent study due to the fact that it has variables that can go with both hypotheses. So this data is a ongoing study. However, the collection of surveys we will be looking at is between 94 and 97. The dataset includes responses from 850 ninth graders in four public high schools of Flint, Michigan. And this study researched protective factors correlated with school dropout rates. These factors included parents' marital status, main source of income, family size, parental involvement. And these variables have all been shown to aid in predicting student success and college readiness. Now, to study the students who are most at risk for leaving school before graduation, individuals with grade point averages 3.0 and below were selected. Interviews were conducted face to face with each student at the school or in a community location for students who are out of school. Each interview took about an hour to complete, and at the end of the interview, students were asked to complete the last section of the questionnaire by themselves. Information obtained from youth include involvement in church, school, community organizations, social support and influence of family and friends, self-esteem, psychological well-being, as well as more criminal activities such as violent behavior, alcohol, substance abuse, sexual behavior, and childbearing. Other variables include school attitude, performance, family structure, and relationships. The participants were asked to complete a brief questionnaire at the end of the interview about their alcohol and substance abuse, as well as sexual behavior. In years 3 and 4, questions also asked about driving behavior, attachment styles, stress and mentoring, and racial identity. The data was also collected about parental education and occupation, and over 90% of the original students who participated in each of the 3-year follow-up years the study was being conducted. So from this research, there's over 660 variables across the 4 years of data collection. About 23% of these variables are repeated on 3 of the waves, and about 47% are asked on all 4 waves. So the principal investigator created about several recoded variables. This was just to make these at a more relevant standard that can create for easier graphing. After conducting a detailed analysis of the data's codebook, there were a few variables that were underlined and tested in multiple ways to showcase factors that impact student achievement. These include a multivariate regression with the use of chi-squared tests and a bivariate correlation tests. The variables pertinent to this research question were recoded as marital status, and this was from their biological parents' marital status, and it was recoded from married equals 1, separated equals 2, divorced equals 3, never married equals 4. The variable mother figure, which has been relabeled from amount mother figure monitors you / plays a role in raising you. And we have another variable relabeled as father figure, and this is the amount the father figure monitors you and plays a role in raising you. Both variables were recoded to be 1 equals not very much, 2 equals somewhat, and 3 equals a lot. All of these variables display results to accurately be able to help identify the answer to our research question. So for the future research and methodology, I would research between the family life and school life. Researchers can ask, does GPA accurately measure student achievement based off college graduation rates? I would anticipate for family structure, stability, and support to be high indicators in that. I would plan on using a combination of school data records as well as student surveys done in a longitudinal study. I find that these methods to be the easiest, most convenient ways accessible. I would do a survey for the graduating class and then ask them questions related to their backgrounds and experiences in and out of school. Accessing the local high school records will allow me to see grades, attendance, demographic location, which would all be pertinent in the study. I do a follow-up survey that would be done when they are again graduating, but from college, and ask them the same questions or almost identical questions. And I would also use their college's database to examine, again, their grades, their attendance, where they lived, and these instruments can be used to achieve instruments that can be used to achieve this are, again, the school data records as well as survey sheets. The sample population will be high school students as well as when they graduate, college students. And we would look at similarities, differences, and then find themes and develop categories. For the nominal data, it'll be assigned a code in the form of a number to conduct analyses, and this data will be stored in SPSS. Due to this being a current research, the analysis is yet to be determined since things are still being conducted. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to contact me via email or number. And thank you so much. And the next few slides are my sources.